So there I was, driving one rainy night. There were no streetlights, and then out of nowhere there was this really sharp turn, and there were no signs that told me to slow down. I ended up swerving, and my car was sliding from side to side, and I was trying to gain control with the steering wheel. And I ended up thinking, okay, this has never happened before, and I could actually die at this very moment. But an interesting thing about me is as long as it has nothing to do with people, if I'm in a very stressful situation, for some reason I'm able to stay extremely calm. And the way I can explain it, my thought process was kind of like this. I could die this very moment, and that is something that I cannot control. So I need to accept it. But why is death such a hard thing for people to accept? People don't really want to let go of the life they've lived, but why? Well, I suppose it's because there's something that they're not satisfied yet with their lives. Because old people that are satisfied with their lives can accept death easier. And what could that be? Well, it could be that they have a desire for something that has not yet been fulfilled. Something that affects their own self esteem, where if they don't get it, they would not like the person they are. And if they don't like the person they are, how can they accept that this would be the end? Sort of like, I can't die yet, I haven't achieved this goal. And I mean, there's sort of a cool drive towards it, but it's also like, in moments like these, I just find it would be better for me to accept everything because there's happiness in acceptance instead of happiness in mindlessly chasing after something when you're not sure if you can actually achieve it. But the thing is, though, I would be the type of person to say you should try and strive to achieve your dreams. If the thing that's holding you back isn't the fact that you can't do it physically, if it was more so you can't do it because you're afraid, then I would say fuck it, do it anyway. If you're afraid of failure, you basically already failed because you haven't even tried. So don't make yourself fail now. Try, and there's a chance you'll fail. So instead of failing now, 100% chance, try it, and then there would be a 50% chance you fail, better than nothing. But that's besides the point. This is a different topic. Now, with the chance that I could die, I was looking back at my life, and I haven't been able to achieve the goals that I had because I was just 18. Can I accept that I haven't been able to fulfill dreams of mine? I was thinking about myself as a person, and I thought, well, this guy's not so bad, just the way he is. And that acceptance was freeing in a way. So I told myself I could die at this very moment, and that's okay. So now we're back to reality. My car crashed kind of like this, and I was just telling myself, oh man, I'm perfectly fine, but I could not say the same for my car. At that point, I was just processing everything that just happened and just sitting down in my car because there's not really much I can do at this point. But actually, at this point, I was more stressed about the fact that I wasted $1,000 that I used 2 weeks ago to repair something in my car. And then at some point, I heard the neighbors. One of them was shouting, damn, these damn teenagers, always crashing on the side of the road. So that neighbor and another neighbor came outside, and this other neighbor just pulled out her phone and started recording me and was like, how was your crash? Do you have any thoughts on the fact that you just crashed? Bro, I just ignored her because what the fuck? Like, and then this third neighbor came out and he asked me if I was perfectly fine, and I said I was, but he was still insistent in calling the ambulance. And I was just thinking, damn, I could be inside an ambulance. So I'm like, hell yeah, call the ambulance. Also, keep in mind in this country, there's free healthcare, so I was perfectly fine with an ambulance. I also called my sister to ask if she could give me a ride. Then at some point, the ambulance came. I went inside the ambulance and they did a bunch of checkups on me and I was perfectly fine. And then my two sisters saw me in the ambulance and my little sister was crying so much. And I was just like, man, I'm fine. I was calling you guys earlier and I said I was fine. But she was just crying because she just thought about how she could have lost me. And I was actually like thinking that that was really sweet. And bro, the thing that I ended up doing after that, I was like, I need to film this. I need to take a picture with me in the car because at the time I had a different YouTube channel. Bro, my priorities are crazy. And then when my older sister was driving me back home, I was thinking about how I lost $1,000. I lost my car and I have no transportation for work. And I was thinking two things. One, I should probably feel guilty. It's weird that I don't really feel that bad, so I should probably feel guilty. And another thing, I was thinking, Damn, I'm such a reckless teenager, and honestly, I was kind of fine with that. But that guilty part, now that I think about it, there's no reason to hold on to guilt or regret. Because in life, if you do something bad, feeling bad about it doesn't change anything. I could sort of give this analogy. When you wrong someone, all you can do is apologize to them so they know that you care about them, and then you can change your actions for the better. Feeling bad about everything and not doing anything about it doesn't change anything. So you do the same with yourself. You can sort of apologize to yourself. Basically, just accept that it happened and still give yourself grace afterwards. And you also change your actions in the future based on what happened. So, anyways, at the end, everything worked out because I just borrowed my mom's bike and I would bike to work and I'd bike home at around 12 midnight. So, not too late. It was a really interesting experience because there were no street lights. I also had no headlights and the road was really bumpy. So if there was a big rock that would just come out of nowhere, I wouldn't even be able to see it. It would just hit my bike. So each night when I would be biking home from work, it felt like a gamble because out of nowhere I could just hit a rock and just trip and fall down. The way the trees were when it's really dark, it was interesting, kind of like in a video game when you play those horror games and it's pitch black in a forest and you see all the leaves just kind of swoosh by. It's hard to explain. It's just like a really interesting vibe. I remembered once I heard a voice of a little girl and I looked to my side and I couldn't see anything, but the voice sounded like it was nearby. Since it was dark and I couldn't see anything, my brain was on alert mode. When my brain is on alert mode, I perceive objects around me as faces or shadowy figures. And I mean, I just call these my hallucinations. So I was just biking, looking around my surroundings, and with all the trees and leaves around me, I would just see a bunch of faces and figures and shadows in them. But I try to remain calm because, I don't know, memento mori. But on a lighter note, I remember when I would bike, there were also these two dogs that would chase after me. And what I would do in that situation, the way dogs are, they only bark and chase after you if they think they can scare you. So just act like you don't care. I'm not gonna lie though, sometimes I like to fuck with the dogs, and I slowly walk towards them to see how they'd react. And sometimes, what I like to do, there's this thing in beatboxing called inward bass. So I just use that inward bass technique on those dogs.